As an incredible year comes to a close, I'm excited to take a trip down memory lane. It's a celebration of the highlights, the wisdom, the inspiration, and the laughter we've shared this year. From Ricky Smiley's hilarious impersonation of Dr. Now to Melody McCloskey giving us the confidence to start the business we've always dreamt of. This year has been filled with so many memorable moments. Let's relive the magic of 2023. Start off selling out shows, because you got booed a few times.
Yeah, I got booed on Showtime of the Apollo.
Yes.
They booed me when Mark Curry was the host.
Yeah.
They booed me because I was from Birmingham, Alabama. When Mark Curry said from Birmingham, Alabama, they said Alabama.
Boo.
Boo. Boo. And Mark Curry said, Rick, he said, just perform through the booze. He said, your shit gonna air. He said it just like that. I went out there and they was booing the whole time, and I went through my material. He said, just play the camera, play the camera, play the camera. So I was like, I got booed on Showtime of the Apollo, so let me tell you what happened. So I'm sitting at home one night. I had a 2-bedroom apartment on the south side of Birmingham, across from a golf course. The rent was $335.
Wow.
Rent was $335 a month. I was subleasing from a dude that had moved out. I thought I was balling. I'm sitting up there watching it comes on, it's showtime at the Apollo tonight. I'll never forget it. We have comedian Jay Lamont, H-Town, and they showed them good, knocking boots all night long. And then it said, comedian Ricky Smiley. I said, hell no. I said, I know you freaking lying. I said, I know you lying. Hell no. Who? I got booed, and I'm sitting up there watching. Or whatever, and I'm watching. They showed H-Town. They came out knocking the boots, and then they showed comedian Jay Lamont.
And you wait.
And then they went to commercial. I said, I know damn well. And then they showed amateur night. So then that's when the booing started. So now I'm sitting up here really nervous. Man, I came out there, and I'm like, this ain't what happened. This is not what happened, Brandy Harvey. I know better than this.
Because you got booed.
I got booed. I was there. I'm looking at the TV. I call the TV a lie. I said, you a lie.
Because no booze.
They took an audience that gave comedian Teddy Carpenter a standing ovation and took the booing out and put the laughs in. And then when I said, thank you, good night, I got a standing ovation. Man, my damn phone was ringing off the hook. They been ringing. I said, hello. I said, thank you very much. All right, I'll call you back. Click it over.
Most difficult. And this is something that anybody who makes a significant change in their life, they got to wrap their head around this. Sometimes the backlash you don't anticipate comes from people that are closer to you, whose lives are going to be the most disrupted by the change that you make.
Yeah.
So if you always giving. So if you're in a friendship and you always paying, then all of a sudden you set a boundary. It's like, I'm not paying anymore. Then
like, where you go? What
people
happened?
can take you advocating for you as attacking them. And it's like, yo, there's nothing wrong with you, but this is not about you. This is about me. So I feel like I dealt with it. I dealt with challenges like from the outside and from the inside a little bit.
People can take you advocating for you as an attack on them.
Yeah.
Did y'all write this down? That's a note. That's a note for y'all. I'm gonna go ahead. That's a note. Okay, so you talked about the coach, the importance of a coach and an advisor and the therapist and how those help to create that shift in your life. But you were very adamant that everybody needs 4 types of people in their lives.
Yes, I do.
4 types of people. 1 being a friend, 2 being an associate, and oftentimes we confuse those.
Yeah.
3 was an assignment.
It's like a mentee.
A mentee, people you're assigned to. And then 4 is the mentor and advisor.
That's right.
How have you been able to properly place people in your life since 2014?
I had to. I feel like for me it was a necessity, because once I started making shifts, I began to see that there are certain people who were in my life who probably in this next season, a few people who were in my life who probably in this next season wouldn't be in my relational orbit as much. But then what I saw more of, it's like, no, you don't need to get off the bus of my life. You just need to change seats. And I can't keep waiting on you for you to get a revelation of what seat you need to be in that's best for me. So I need to kind of reposition you. And so I came up with those categories for my own life. Who's a friend? Who's an associate? Who's an assignment? Now, the assignment piece was really hard for me because in my space, you just feel like you're supposed to help everybody.
Everybody's your assignment.
Everybody's your assignment.
Yeah.
When it's not true.
Yeah.
It's a messianic complex almost. But the point that I'm making is every need is not my responsibility. God's the one that can meet every need.
Every need
He
is
just
not
wants
our
me to
responsibility.
meet the ones that I've got the capability of meeting. And so that was really difficult too, because there was a whole lot of people I was quote unquote mentoring that I didn't feel like assigned to. Does that make sense?
It totally makes
Yeah,
sense.
it was like, I don't know if you want my help or my attention.
Yeah.
And I'm not judging that. I'm just saying in this
Yeah.
season, I want people who are willing to steward the investment that I'm making and not just be enamored by my attention.
Yeah.
So I had to make some shifts there. And then, you got the advisor piece where I feel like this is what an advisor or a mentor does. They give you speed. Because mine can take what they learned in decades and they can give that to me in a day.
In days.
We would just talk about it in San Francisco. Like we'd go to drinks and we'd talk about making software and the different products we loved and what was good and not and why, and the business around it. And it was just something that I was obsessed with and so passionate about. But I never thought that I was smart enough to start a company. And I never thought that I was qualified, that anyone would give me money or any of that. And so I was like, all right, but these big ideas that we have, that's for someone else to create.
Yeah.
And I am going to sit and watch because that is all that I can do. Right. I really, really limited myself in all ways when I was that age. And suddenly someone told me, they turned to me, I think it was Travis, turned to me and he was like, no one's ever going to give you permission. You've been talking about this idea for 2 years. Go out and do it. Shut up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was the
Yeah.
kick that I needed.
Yeah.
And so it was that moment. And then maybe like 2 weeks later, I was reading something on my phone, a news article, and they were talking about the beauty industry. And I thought it was describing a company like Style Seed that I wanted to start, but hadn't yet. And my stomach dropped. I immediately I didn't even read the article. I just thought that that's what it said. I tossed my phone and I was like, I just went into this like depression spiral. And then I go back to read the article and it's like not what it says at all. But what I realized was I am more fearful that someone else will start this company than I am of starting it and failing it.
Yeah.
And so that moment allowed me to say, okay, well then the decision has been made. And all this energy that I'm putting into doubting myself, every time I come up with an idea that I wanted to pursue, I'd come up with another reason why I couldn't do it, because I wasn't capable. And so I said, if the decision has been made, then I'm not talking about if I'm going to do it anymore. That's all gone. And now it's just about creation.
Yeah.
And every day I would wake up and put all that energy into creation. And that's how it started.
I feel like as people, we're often arrogant. Like we feel as if life has promised us something, right? The way we live, the way we speak about life, the way we approach things, the way we treat people. Like we're often arrogant, right? To where one of the reasons I'm grateful for my injury is because it showed me the fragility of life.
Yeah.
It showed me how quickly things can change.
Very early on, too.
Right?
'Cause
Very
you learned
early,
this at
20 years old.
Yeah.
Right? It showed me how quick. I'm talking about you got the world in front of you, so-called world, right? In front of you. And then you go to sleep and you wake up and your life is totally different, right? I look in the mirror, my appearance was totally different, right? From that point moving forward, everything was totally different.
Yeah.
And so it showed me the fragility of life. And so when I speak to, just the pain and regret, the price of discipline, I firmly believe when you give everything you got to something, right? I'm talking about blood, sweat, and tears, everything you got to something, right? The peace in that is not the result or the reward. The piece is the fact that I gave everything I had to it because this is who I am.
Yeah.
So now, even if it doesn't turn out the way I want it to, I didn't go to the NFL.
Yeah.
That was a dream I had since I was 7. It didn't happen. but it was a certain level of peace that resided inside of me because I knew September 9th, 2006, my last tackle, I can honestly say with every fiber of my being, I gave everything I had to it.
Yeah.
And so if God said, Ink, this your time, we done with it, all right, cool, what's next?
Yeah.
But the pain and regret would be if I went to make that tackle, didn't give everything I had to it, I get injured, life has changed, and now I got to carry a burden of, man, what if I gave everything I had to it? Because people are amazing, man. Like, people are talented, skillful, brilliant. Like, people are so gifted.
Yeah.
Right? But people very seldom give everything they got to something. And so they walk around with regret. They walk around with bitterness. They walk around with all these different things when things don't turn out the way that they wanted to because they didn't give everything they had to it. And it's like, bro, the price of discipline, pain and regret. Like, just be disciplined and go at it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't turn out, the reward is you got peace.
Yeah.
That you gave everything you had to it. Right? It's not about the outcome.
What was the biggest mistake or lesson that you learned along the way?
Oh gosh, there's so many. You don't know what people need, and you don't know what they're going to want. So you just kind of hope that you can deliver it. Because we were catering to a consumer that was learning her hair.
Yeah.
Just like you said, learning what shea butter does for the skin, learning what texture is, what happens when it rains, what happens when it's hot, what happens when they get braids for the first time. All of these things that she did not know. So she doesn't even know exactly what she wants when, because it's all discovery for her. So we just kept trying different things to see what would work. And you don't know exactly what's going to work or what she's going to like. And as she goes through the discoveries and the levels, you know, there was a period of time when natural meant no hair color. Natural meant you couldn't wear a weave. Natural meant you couldn't put in braids unless they were the texture that matched your hair, and they couldn't be too long, and all of this stuff.
We had so many rules.
So many rules, not rules that I ever followed. I only cared about the health of your hair. And now we can have a natural hair care line that's making products for you to take care of your hair if you're wearing wigs and weaves.
Yeah.
That's a part of that journey now, but it wasn't in the beginning. So it was just knowing how to do that, doing something without having a blueprint, doing something based on faith the whole time, because there was no one in front of you that you could be like, wait, how do I, where do I?
Yeah.
You know, and then walking into rooms, constantly having to translate who you are and who your customer is, because nobody else in the room looks like you.
One of your recent interviews, you said your first attempt at monogamy was when you got married.
Yes.
You wasn't practicing monogamy before you got married.
No.
So how could you know what to do when you got in the middle of the monogamy game? How did you know?
I think that Kennedy said success has many fathers and failure is an orphan. Nobody wants to own their failure.
Yeah.
My parents, Brandy, have been married for 54 years.
Wow.
My grandparents, maternal and paternal, were both married over 60.
Wow.
So I had a model of marriage.
Yeah.
Had a model of family life.
Yeah.
I didn't have any instance growing up with some woman calling the house. There was no not.
Hello, Barbara?
Yes, right. I didn't have none of that. My parents modeled for me what marriage was supposed to look like, what family was supposed to look like.
Yeah.
My father modeled for me what a husband is supposed to do. And so I knew what I was supposed to do. It is the old adage, just because you know better don't mean you do better.
Yeah.
That's why you have overweight doctors.
Yeah.
That's why you have nurses that smoke.
Exactly.
You know what you, that's why dentists still have a sweet tooth.
Yeah.
And so I can't say I didn't know what I was supposed to do. But monogamy is a decision. And that's what you have to choose to do. Nobody cheats by accident.
Listen.
Yeah, no, you knew what you was doing driving there.
Baby, I done had me quite a few moments.
And Brandy, let me add to that. I don't drink.
So you were sober.
I was sober.
I was
of
making
mind.
sober decisions.
Yeah. But it is a decision that comes with maturity.
I think about my friends. They deserve consistency. And they deserve my stamina. You know, I mean, when people need to know how you're going to show up, it takes work. You know, it's not going to work every time, but they need to know how you're going to show up.
Yeah.
And again, that's why value is so important.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I try my best to keep it 100%. I'll be the first person to be like, I'm not 100% all the time.
I don't hit it every day.
I'm pretty damn consistent.
Yeah.
And you know, consistency goes both ways, right? Like there's some people that like the way you show up all the time, and a lot of people who don't. That's fine. There are enough people in my life that fulfill my life that value my consistency and stamina with them, and I expect the same in return.
Yeah.
But you know my show now. My show is my 600-pound life.
You talked about that 600. I can't watch it, Ricky, because
Brandon,
I feel so uncomfortable
Brandon,
watching them people sometimes.
You get your recipes.
I don't want no recipes.
Get your recipes
off of my
Brandon.
600-pound life.
Learn some good recipes. You have to watch my 600-pound life.
What's the recipe you learned off of my 600? Please tell me.
Tater tot casserole.
A tater tot casserole. Y'all hear this? A tater tot casserole.
It was a white lady. I think she was in Kansas, and she had a minivan. All of them got a minivan.
You got to have a minivan.
You got to have a minivan.
Was she cooking this tater tot casserole in the bed?
She put the tater tots in the bottom.
Was she in the bed while she was cooking?
No, she wasn't. No, that lady was in the bed. She frying chicken.
That lady in the bed.
And she had all the seasonings up on the headboard. She had onion powder, garlic powder, paprika.
In the bed.
Sage. She had all of that stuff on the headboard. And she had the little hot plate plugged up to the little nightstand, and she was laying in the bed. She couldn't move, but she was frying the hell out of that chicken, and she was dipping it in the flowers and the egg back and forth with the chicken. It'd be real crunchy.
In the bed. In the bed.
And you don't watch that with nobody. You watch that by yourself.
You have to.
Because you don't want nobody to see you laughing, because we all going to hell.
Everybody.
We're going to hell.
Because really it's the doctor on the show.
Oh, he get the ass. So is it Dr. Yes or Dr. Now?
Dr. Now.
Dr. Now.
Dr. Now.
You'll get kicked out the program. Do you understand? You can't eat it. She said,
I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not eating.
I need protein. He said, you have enough protein to last a lifetime. He be wearing their ass out.
He be wearing them out.
They be having the attitude. They be in the bed. First of all, I need to eat. I need to get down. I'm doing the best I can. I ain't losing nothing. Then he went under the bed and he found a big ass 20-ounce pop that was up under the bed. Somebody had stuck in there. And I watched one episode where they had 19 pieces. They went the pieces.
I saw that
They bought
episode.
19
I
pieces.
saw that
When
episode.
they got to the house, they had 4.
Listen.
I said I thought I had missed something during the commercial. I said, they bought 19 pieces of
Ricky,
Pizza Hut.
when I saw that, I said, I can't watch it. Now, my sister, she loves that show.
I'm obsessed with that show.
That is it. But you got a tater tot casserole off of
Tater tot casserole, and but you have to fry the tater tots first, and then put them in the bottom of the pan, and then layer it with everything, and then bake it.
Cheese and bacon and eggs
and stuff. Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
and so that's your recipe now.
I tried it. It was actually pretty good, but I didn't eat as much as they did.
Cause they ate the whole pan.
Yeah. She goes all the way in.
I saw a lady on the episode. The plate was this big. She served her on a plate that was literally this big.
Yeah, and when the dude bought the plate, I thought it was for all of them.
And it was.
And then he set it down, and then he went back and got 2 small plates for him and the son.
Yeah.
And she was sitting over there.
But that's your show.
You sit over there trying not to laugh. You going to hell.
But that's your show.
That's my show.
That's your show. First
I have
48.
to have that in my life. First 48, my 600-pound life. You know I watch the news. I have to watch Joy Reid, Rachel Maddow.
You and my mama could watch TV together all day.
MSNBC all day.
That's all she got on all day.
CNN, anything with Roland Martin on there. Roland Martin be wearing ascot. We just need him to stop wearing ascots.
I felt like all the young ladies that I spent all this money on, I bought purses, I bought this on, they left me hanging. All the brothers that I was trying to impress, to be cool with, to be a part of an organization, or even just to be friends with, they left me hanging. And I thought that my parents had abandoned me because it was like, hey, my father said, since you think you're a grown man, go be that grown man. And I remember leaving my bedroom window because I couldn't make it to the front door. It was that bad of an argument between me and my father there in California. And I remember leaving that time, but my father simply said, hey, go be a grown man. And to this day, I'm grateful for that season I just wish I could have went back and operated differently in that season.
Oh, of course.
You know, because it made me who I am today.
Yeah. Did you carry a level of shame?
Shame from,
Being in the parking lot, holding the sign, was there a level of shame that you had?
I would say shame, embarrassment, less than, because that's not my parents' journey. I didn't see them struggle to that extent. And for me, I was embarrassed because internally, I knew I was the problem, but externally, I didn't want to own it.
So what was the shift in the mindset that said, it's me and I got to fix where I am?
I tell you, I was at the mall and met a young lady and lied to her. Jesus.
You know what? It's a lot of them getting lied to out here like this now.
Lied to her.
About to help somebody.
made her think I had all my pretty much I had my life in order. And so she invited me over to watch Bad Boys. And I was like, all right, bet. This was on a Saturday. Well, Boys and Girls Club and YMCA is closed. Can't go home. So I can't go over there funky. So I literally went to the side of Walmart, filled up the bucket with water, and put Dawn dish detergent inside of it. Because, back then when we washed our cars, we used Dawn. We didn't really use, the car wash stuff. We just put Dawn in there. And I took that to the back of my car. And that's how I started washing myself to go over to the young lady's house. So I'm sitting in the back seat of the car, and I have soap suds from my neck all the way down. And that's when the Holy Spirit really got a hold of me. And you ever seen yourself in the mirror, but then you saw something much more than what you actually see?
Yeah.
And that was me. I'm like, I am 19 years old. I have Dawn dish detergent on my body right now to go impress a woman when I don't even have my life in order. And I literally broke down crying in the back seat of that car because I'm lying to everyone around me. I'm blaming everyone around me, and I'm not owning for my decisions. And so I didn't make it to that lady's house because I remember staying in the backseat of that car and I cried all night. And I went home and apologized to my father in California and my mom and said, hey, listen, I made some bad mistakes. I own it. I'm sorry. And I'm just ready to really become a man because I realized if I'm going to change my future, then I got to change who I am today.
Absolutely.
So because I work for myself, I can kind of do whatever I want to do. Yeah, you work for yourself, but you got to be even more strict with yourself than say you were when you actually had an employer.
Yeah.
Those employers set boundaries for you to work within.
Absolutely.
You got to set those boundaries even more so for yourself because you can have that flexible time space where you're getting nothing done. You got to work harder for yourself than you did for your employer. So if they set parameters for you, why do you not set parameters for yourself to work within?
Yeah.
And it's essential. Those companies that are just out here and they have no systems in place, they don't have clear-cut deadlines, there's no consistency, there's no SOPs, there's just not that baseline. Yeah, you're going to experience some form of failure, maybe faster or fail to the point that you can't recover because there's nothing in place to keep you structured.
Yeah. Did you have an expectation to be a 7-figure business?
No.
When you started?
No.
Most people on Instagram, they are out here like, I'm going to be a millionaire. I'm going to have all the money.
No.
I'm going to get me driving the roads in a Bentley truck. You didn't have any of those thoughts?
No, because I can be really hard on myself, right? So if I set expectations that are too high and I don't meet them when I set that deadline, then I feel like I have failed. And I know failure is okay. All of us fail in some form. It's like, what do you do with those failures, right? But I just don't set expectations when it comes to money. Like, I'm like, yeah, I need to launch. I need to have these products. I need to have certain people in place. But when it comes to money, I've never been driven by money.
My mother used to say to me, if it was easy, everybody would have one. No matter what it was, no matter what was going, well, if it was easy, everybody would have one. That's why it's not easy, So you have a different appreciation for it and a different respect for whatever it is that you're going after, and then a different respect for yourself and the role that you play. And I think for me, going through that process of having people be upset with me and angry with me, I had to look at it and say, okay, the narrative that they have is the same narrative that I've had. Anything that we do, someone takes from us and they mess it up. They steal it. There's always something underhanded going on. People saw me as a person who had built something for them and for them only. Yeah. And even though I never hid that we had investors, that we had capital investment, I was a part of the process. And as I was in the process, I learned it and understood what it meant. And I was able to move forward financially and make certain decisions that other people don't have exposure to. They don't understand business and selling and who has what to invest and who can be a good strategic partner, because we don't get to learn that, because generationally we haven't had generational wealth. Yeah. We haven't had businesses that we watched uncle so-and-so build or, you know, cousin this. Yeah. That's not a part of our history, but it has to be. Yeah. So it's going to take some of us getting hit, cursed at, dragged through Black Twitter, so that there's more Moniques and there's more Shea Moistures and there's more and more and more where it's okay. And we don't get angry. So if I have to be one of the people that takes the bad, I'll take it, because then that means when my great-grandchildren are adults, they're going to move through business in a completely different way. Absolutely. So it's worth it. It's worth it to take that hit. And when I talked about at the 25th anniversary of the company, just because I'm a leader doesn't mean that I did it the best. Yeah. Doesn't mean that I'm the first. Yeah. No, not the. I am the first, but not number one. Not the number one, because that's not what's important. Mayel surpassed me years ago in sales, and that feels good. Yeah. I mean, it feels a little crappy, but it feels good.
You know, this is a perfect opportunity for all those who are listening. As my good friend Patrice says, you never know who is watching you, who has the power to bless you. Absolutely. And so you were seen in the background, mopping up sweat, having all these, you know, moments where you feel like, oh, I'm just doing my job. But somebody was watching you.
And your reputation. Because he knew of the work that I did through the people I worked with. So even if I never worked for him directly, there were positive things said in rooms that I wasn't in. Yeah. And so that was really eye-opening. And then, to the spirit of everything happens for a reason, later on I learned, when I was taking that digital health and wellness job that every mentor told me not to take, he was one of the mentors that told me not to take the job. And so ultimately, when I ended up coming on board to the Hawks, I learned that when he left Turner on his own, it was after I had my daughter, he had a no poaching policy in his contract, so he couldn't take any talent from Turner with him to the Hawks. So had I not gotten laid off from the job he told me not to take, I wouldn't even be able to be in this position today. Divine. I get goosebumps every time I think about it, because it was clearly written in ways that I could have never anticipated. Wow. And I have faith. I'm a woman of faith, and I know that God has designed my steps well before I ever got here. And so for me, every time I have the opportunity to share my testimony, which is this story, I'm honored to do it, and I still have no idea what's next.
Recently, you're in the 3rd season of the Cool Soror podcast.
The 3rd video season. So I started my podcast since 2016. People don't know that. I've got hundreds of episodes that were just audio. So I started in 2016. I just started doing the video because I wanted to elevate. Yeah. Because especially when so many people started podcasts, I'm like, how am I going to
separate yourself?
Exactly. And I'm like, let me bet on myself. Like, don't worry about trying to find who this person has. Find a production team. Tap into your producer that used to be on Sister Circle. She can produce your podcast. Yeah. Shout out to Nicole. You know, and get your makeup artist. Yeah. Get your stylist. Like, God gave you everything that you actually need to take yourself to the next level. Yeah. Stop waiting on somebody to give you a yes. And that's what I tell a lot of young people. Stop waiting on people to tell you to give you a yes. Yeah. You say yes every morning to yourself.
You say yes every morning to yourself. Yeah.
And so I started betting on myself. And so that's what people have seen, the elevation, but I've been doing it since 2016.
You've been doing the work.
Doing the work.
Which speaks to your entire life, but doing the work.
Yes, putting in the work.
How can you explain when someone comes into your life and impacts you and empowers you? Like, you can't control that. Yeah. So I got to a point where I felt blessed to have what I have. Even once I woke up and figured out, yo, God gave me this job 3.5 years later. Working at the Cheesecake Factory is a blessing. Once I realized that, I said, I'm blessed anyway. I'm gonna go after some stuff, but if I don't get it, it's okay because God allows me to have success. God allows me to have whatever I have.
Yeah.
There's certain things that I don't believe I can control. And once I understood that appreciation for what God has given me, everything just started to open up because it wasn't about the result anymore. It's like, let me just be a better steward over what I have.
Being a better steward.
And I mean, I was consistently working, and anything you do consistently, it begins to get better. And yeah, it's been incredible. And I got to a point where I figured out some things about life and business and myself, and that's a whole journey. And eventually it started working out. But then I realized the purpose and abundance, you want this thing so bad, a certain dollar amount or something, and you think it's going to make you happy. But I realized that thing will never make you as happy as you think it's going to make you, no matter what it is.
Yeah.
If you get married, whatever that feeling is you think you're gonna feel when you get married, it's not gonna feel like that when you get there. You wanna make $100,000 or $1 million, and you're like, oh, everything is gonna change. When you get there, it's not gonna feel like that. So and maybe this is counterproductive to a motivational speech, but I'm not so into the future of what it's gonna feel like when I have it. I just wanna be in the moment and do the best that I can with the gifts that God has given me right now. So that's why I say it's like purpose and abundance, because it's not about, I realize that whatever I think I want, I'm not gonna want it as much as I think I want it once I get it.
Yeah.
So that's been life change for me.
Women without children are really our father's daughters.
Can be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people have misread that, saying, what? Women without children bond more with their fathers, and that's not what I meant. What I meant is we had the option to follow in our father's footsteps as much as follow in our mother's footsteps.
Yeah.
And that is like, honestly, for people born from the late 1960s onwards, that's like the first generation. So that's Gen X women who are now sort of coming into their 50s, reaching menopause, reaching the end of our reproductive years, and we're seeing like big drop-offs in the birth rate because these are the first generations of women, Gen X and millennial women, to have actually truly had that choice.
Yeah, because of our power of choice now. We have more opportunities for education. We're being exposed to more. And you really touch on that in the book.
And it really comes down to, I mean, so much of the second wave feminist movement was about enabling, not even empowering, but enabling women to be financially independent.
Yeah.
So that they didn't have to be dependent on men for their material survival.
Yeah.
Which meant enabling women to have careers, you know, beyond just the very kind of menial, often again, caregiving focused labor that was considered women's work, whether it was teaching, you know, cleaning, like much more sort of like nannying, etc. The very sort of like caregiving work that has traditionally been sort of women's work. Only really from the 1970s onward did the doors to actual careers that come with career progression, 401ks, like job stability, like that is very new for women to have access to those kinds of careers.
Very new. What are most typical as women talking about? Because I love that terminology that you use in your course. You are not looking for TAWs in I Want a Good Man University.
No, I'm looking for women who are sick and tired of being sick and tired. Don't come to me before you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. Because if you come to me before, you're going to have a whole lot of stuff that I'm not. You're going to be sending me Instagram posts about what they talking about in the street, and that's not what I teach from. So when I tell you, ma'am, you know what you consume is what you become. If you notice Delta, right?
Yeah.
God, Nike, no matter how big of brands those are, they still saying, just do it, right? Delta, they used to wear red. You know, anywhere you see them in the airport now, they have programmed you that they are the people in purple, right?
Yeah.
So when you allow social media to show you something and you consume that information that goes against be the love you want to attract, high vibrations only, radiating feminine energy, captivating, endearing, and delightful, what surrender allow be. I'm working to get you in the direction of becoming this amazing part of yourself. You know, when these low vibration thinking people are saying things and you're consuming it, your mind, I forgot what it said, it's the front part. I don't know if it's the cerebral cortex, I might mess that up, but I know it's the front part, right? Is subconsciously taking information in, unknowingly. So you can maybe working with me, and everything that you're consuming outside of me is working against me. Let's teach using things that are in alignment. Let's teach using Bob Proctor, who talks about the law of vibration, how when you live in the vibration of what you believe, even if your three-dimensional reality is not even seeing it. Your three-dimensional reality is what you see when you open your eyes. But when you close your eyes and you're working to envision something and envisioning yourself in the space, in the energy of that, in the vibration of that, put things like that in this group. Because that is who I am. I believe in the law of vibration, vibrating in the energy of being the love you want to attract, right? If you want dependable, you got to be dependable. That's the energy I want in this group. You want inspiring, you have to be inspiring. If you want trustworthy, you have to be trustworthy. And that's trustworthy to yourself. So if you're waking up every morning saying you're going to do something and you don't do it, you're a liar.
And then you're wondering why you attract the liar.
Boom.
Here's the one thing I want you to talk to our audience about. Building a team and empowering leaders, because initially you started off doing everything. You were the Instagrammer behind the scenes, and people didn't know. You were the one writing the Instagram post and doing all the stuff. And so as things started to grow, you found yourself, still kind of reverting back into doing everything. Until you had a meeting one day and somebody was like, hold up, why are you even in this meeting?
They kicked me out of the meeting, Brandy. So what do you, shoo.
So how have you been able as a leader to empower other leaders? How have you been able to empower your team?
You really have to think about succession planning. And my mind is very binary, meaning in a year, do I want it to be, my life to be exactly the way that it is today? No, everyone wants to evolve. Okay, so if you want to evolve and you want to change, you have to change things. And I think what happens as a leader, especially if something's born out of your heart, it's if you keep undermining and, oh, I'll do it, oh, not like this, you're going to discourage your team. Because nothing will ever be good enough. Why are they even going to try? You're just going to come in and fix it anyway. You're undermining them. And so I think having empathy and being self-aware and saying, okay, it's not exactly how I would have done it, but that's actually great. Because otherwise this is a dictatorship. I thought we were a team. And so I learned a lot from like sports and watching coaches and their quarterbacks and watching how there is some room for play. And I think that's how you have to be, is kind of like get out of your own way and let your team cook, and they come up with things that are exceedingly beyond what I would have done on social media. Because that's not where I play.
It gives you a different vantage point.
Absolutely.
So what piece of advice did your dad give you?
Yeah, so he's funny. I mean, he's all about hard work. So he's taught me the value of hard work. It's funny, I could bring someone home and say, Dad, this is Bobby. He's, head of, he's head doctor at Emory, and he'll say, hey man, that's great, man. Parents are very proud of you. I could bring another guy home and say, hey Dad, this is John. He, he cuts grass on the weekends. He works at a Hardee's and, does the maintenance at Hardee's. And on the weekends, he cleans a building, whatever. And he'll be excited. Oh man, you got 3 jobs. So he's just a person who, he's taught me the value of hard work. There are no secrets, no shortcuts to success. Hard work, I think it's becoming an old-fashioned term. It's not an old-fashioned term.
It's not.
You've got to, in a lot of stars, Jay-Z, Kevin Hart, they all talk about people see the shine, but they don't see the hard work that goes into it. So there are no shortcuts, there are no secrets. You've got to work hard every day if you're going to be successful. That's not an old-fashioned term.